What's up YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today we will be doing a $100 nickel hunt. Now the overwhelming majority, as you can see, are bank wrapped nickels. The reason it looks like this is because these were picked up on July 3rd and I could not find a bank that happened to have a box of nickels they could sell me. So these all came from a teller safe. She had 3 rolls short of $100 and we backfilled it with a couple of customer rolls. So I'm looking forward to getting into these nickels. Hopefully we can find all kinds of cool stuff today. So let's jump into it. So today's video will be part of our Hunt and Fill series where we are trying to get through this Jefferson nickel book from 1938 to 2003. I've actually put the extra pages in this to get us to 2022. And we're only missing a handful of nickels from this book. I have a cheat sheet I'll show you in just a minute rather than going through all the pages. And I'm going to keep my Buffalo nickel album handy simply because we still have a number of holes we're trying to fill. And I am not too proud to nick-a-date some dateless Buffalo nickels if they are going to be fillers in my book. As for the things we're mainly looking for book fillers, here's the cheat sheet I just mentioned. They're mainly from the late 30s and into the 40s. And these are all kind of low mintage, harder to find nickels. The 42, 44, and 4, so half of them really are silver war nickels. The rest are sort of key dates and semi-key dates. And of course, we're always looking out for proof nickels. I've only found 2 or 3 of those ever coin roll hunting. So that's our quick list if you wanted to take a look that we're trying to get into our main book. As for varieties and things, I do have a document in the description down below this video. If you'd like to take a look at, let's go ahead and do a bank wrap roll. If you'd like to take a look at the things we're hunting for, as I find any kind of variety or anything interesting, I will bring you guys in and we'll take a look and see what roll we found it in, where it is, and if we've got any varieties to be found on that particular coin. But in summary, we are mainly looking for V-nickels, Buffalo nickels, and anything from 1938 to 1959 with special attention on our silver war nickels. So here we are right here with a 1955D, very, very early on in this hunt. Let me turn my microscope on. Okay, we got our scope on. I'm just going to verify that real quick. Now the 55 does have a D over S variety that the D looks a little wonky, but it's nothing special there. But we have our first find. Now, the 1950 Philadelphia or 55 Philadelphia would have been a semi-key date. Unfortunately, we've already got that one, and we ended up with the Denver. So let me just quickly kind of run through these and see if we see anything else that's old or interesting. And then I'll go off camera hunting rolls and only bring you guys in as we find things. But pretty cool to have a 1955 in our very first roll. And I'm going through these really quickly for you. I'll check that for the DDO. There's a new modern buffalo. That has a wounded buffalo or a wounded bison, I think they call it. All right, nothing else in there. So I'm going to go off camera. I'll bring you in at our next find. We just got into roll number 3. We're not even that far in, but we did find something kind of interesting here. It's a die CUD, which I don't think I've ever found before in my nickels. We've got a 1983P. You can see this little hunk of metal here right off the edge or right off the rim of that coin. It's a die CUD. So I looked it up. It's something that actually has been documented somewhere. So let me take you over here to the computer. You can see right here, this is on cudsoncoins.com, and this is the CU5C 1983P004. Looks just like my nickel. No idea what that's worth, but we're going to check that out before the end of this video. Okay, so I couldn't wait. I pulled this up on eBay, and here are 2 that look just like the one I have, although the one on the bottom looks like it's got one there at the top and one at the bottom. This one here looks just like mine for $39.99. This one's not quite as big for $19.99. $17.99, also not quite as big. So anyway, worst case looks like maybe we're talking about $18 to maybe about $40 based on today's eBay prices. I've gotten into roll number 6 and we're on our next find. Not as cool as that CUD, but it is a 1941 Let's see if we got a mint mark. Nope, just a Philly. Very next roll, and we have another 1941. Let's see if we got a mint mark this time. No, we don't. So bringing you back in here, very same roll, a handful of nickels later, and we found something pretty cool. Now, granted, it's pretty beat up. It does look like we've got maybe some lamination breaks on it. If I can get it settled here so focus it in for you. There it is. That could all just be post-mint damage, but it looks like lamination breaks to me. Let me know in the comments down below if you disagree. But the telltale sign is the fact that we've got a Philadelphia mint mark above the Monticello building, meaning this is a 35% nickel, often called a war nickel because they were made during, I believe it was World War II, where the U.S. government pulled all the copper out of much of our U.S. currency to make bullets and bulletproof vests for the war. And we replaced that in nickels with silver. And we've got ourselves a 1943 Philly. Now, I believe there is a 43/2 error. You should be able to see it just under this. We shouldn't have to put it under the scope to see it. I don't see it in there right now, so we're just going to throw this on the board as just a 35% silver find. So I just dumped out my first customer wrap roll, and I picked them up to start going through them and realized the very first nickel is a find, and it's actually a pretty decent looking nickel for how old it's going to be. We've got a Philadelphia for sure. Looks like a 1940 on the front, so this may end up being an upgrade in my book. This is a beautiful 1940. While I have you here, I did notice a couple of dark ones poking out. One in particular, this 1959. That'll be another find for this roll. This one's a little tarnished, but looks like we've got a 1959 Denver. We'll put that up here as a find. Anything else? We got another dark one. That's just a 1984. That looks like maybe it could be old. That's just a 64. All right, well, I'll go through them more slowly, and if I find anything else, I'll bring you back in. So I'm on that last customer wrap roll. I couldn't get it out, so I just kind of had to shake the wrapper until they all just kind of spilled out. And if you guys see what I see, we've got another war nickel on our hands. And I know we need some of these to fill our book. That 1943 wasn't one of them. We do have another Philly. Let's see on my list. Do we need more Phillies? We really don't. We're really looking for San Francisco's and Denver. So this won't be a filler either way. But let's check out the year. Looks like we got another 1943. Pretty cool. 2 silvers on the hunt. Getting into roll number 12, and the rest of these obviously are all going to be bank wrapped. And the very first roll we get into, we got gypped by 4 cents. Looks like we got a penny stuffed in here. Let's see if at least it's copper. And it is. We got a 1981. It has seen better days, but it is worth 3 cents. So really, we were only gypped by 2. On roll 14, we have our next find, something new for the hunt. We've got ourselves, it looks like a 1956 Denver. So we're all the way up to roll 23, and we've got our next find, something we haven't come across yet. We've got a 1947. Let's see if we got a mint mark on this guy. We do. 1947S, which I don't need for the book, but it's definitely something different. I don't get a lot of San Francisco minted coins, so pretty cool. We're on roll 33, and we have our next find. It is another 1940. I think we already have one of these. Maybe not. There might be a 41 up there. Let's see here. What mint mark do we have? We've got a 1940S, which we don't see these very often. There may be a S over D variety on this. I'll check it. I'll bring you back in if that's what we have. We're on roll 35 here. We found ourselves our next find. It is a 1953 Philly. We're on roll 37. We've got our next find. It did come up reverse facing, but I went ahead and flipped it over to make it easy for us to see the date. But we've come across a 1954 Denver. It's kind of cruddy looking, but that is in fact a D. So we've gotten into roll 39, and I've come across something interesting. It is a 1962. It looks like it's either a proof or it's plated, but in 62, I want to say, mint sets would have been made, and proof sets, if they even made them, I'm going to look that up, would have been made in Philadelphia rather than San Francisco, I believe. But what's really interesting about it is that it has nearly full steps, and that's, I think, saying something for a 1962. Get this under the scope for you. I mean, that looks pretty good. We've got a little blemish down here in the lower left, and we've got a tiny little blemish kind of right in here. But other than that, you can see full steps all the way across. So, and even under the scope, you can see this kind of mirror-like finish. So, let me know. I'm going to do a little research, and if I find out before the end of the video, I'll put it in the wrap-up. But this is just a really shiny nickel, and I'm not sure what the story behind it could be. So we are on roll 47, and we've come across our next find, and it's another 1955. And as I said with the first one, the 1955 Philly is a key date. Let's see what we got, the Philly or the Denver. Look at that. We got the Philly. Now, this one that's a semi-key. It has just over 8 million minted, so this nickel's actually in pretty darn good shape. We've got, I don't know what these little diagonal lines are, if that's just dirt or whatnot, but this is a fantastic looking nickel. I'm going to go check on PCGS and see what this thing is in decent condition. So here we are over at PCGS. I've pulled up the 1955, and you'll see there's a mint state and a full step version. And the full step obviously is far more pricey than the mint state version. This is the MS60 here for $2. So getting up to the 65, I think gets us up to a $28 coin. I'm not sure I could even get to mint state 60, maybe, but at $2, it's not that big of a find. I did check for full steps, which we do not have, but that would have made that a much more interesting coin. It's still a cool find in circulation, a 1955 Philly, with as low a mintage as it has. So we have reached the end of our hunt, and unfortunately, again, we didn't have any book fillers or any major upgrades, but we did have a couple of really key coins of note. I'll go through all the finds here real quick, and we'll talk about the big ones when we get to them. So obviously, we had our penny find, which I said it was worth 3 cents, and so we only lost 2. For those of you that are new to the channel, I did a copper video some time ago, and if you're not following the price of copper, you know, these pre-1982 pennies that are 95% copper are actually close to like 2.5, almost 3 cents a piece last time I checked, and in copper weight alone. And that's why the U.S. Mint now makes them out of zinc and puts a very thin coat of copper on them. I didn't bring you in for every one of these, especially when they were duplicates, but we had a couple of 1940s, and I believe one of them was a 1940S. We had a bunch of 1941s, a couple of different mint marks. The major finds here that I always get really excited about is anytime we find war nickels. So these are 35% silver. So these end up in my stack. So I'll put the current price of these or the current melt value of these. And with this lamination break, maybe it's worth a little bit more, but that'd be pushing it. This will just go in a tube and it'll be something I hang on to. I don't think this adds a ton of numismatic value just because the coin's in such bad condition, but still kind of neat to find that if it is, in fact, a lamination break on a coin in circulation. So these two are kind of cool. We're going to put them down below here. We did end up with a couple of 1947s, a 1953, a couple of 1954. I want to say they were both Denvers. The two 1955s are kind of cool finds, especially this 1955 Philly. This one being a semi-key date. We went over this a little bit earlier in the video, so I'm not going to cover it again. But it is in really, really good shape. Maybe could get up there in the AU range just from a details perspective. But it's a beautiful nickel. Anyway, this is one that I'll hang on to. We'll flip that up and keep that for sure. Let's see here. 1 1956 and 4 1959s. I did confirm, since I found this, that this is, in fact, a 1962 proof nickel. They didn't make proofs out of San Francisco, or they didn't have that S mint mark on them back in 1962. So this is a proof nickel. Pretty cool. My Jefferson nickel album doesn't actually have a spot for it. It just has a 1962 slot, which is already filled. So I'll probably flip this up and just kind of note that I found it in a coin roll hunt because it's kind of a neat find. So let's see, we'll put this one down here on the bottom too because that's pretty cool. And last but not least, we found it very early on in the hunt, but this CUD error. I did put some eBay comps. We went over to the computer earlier. I want to say, just from memory, those were like 20 bucks or so, 20 up to about maybe 35, 40 bucks. So this is also something that'll get flipped up and something I'll really hang on to. All the rest of these, I actually don't throw back anymore. I've got a little bin full of my 30s, 40s, and 50s nickels, so I just hang on to these for now. The penny will go in my copper penny jar. But overall, a pretty good hunt. So let's see here. We had 2, 6, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 17 finds there, plus 4, which is 21, 22 pretty good finds within that box of nickels. So overall, a pretty successful hunt. I hate calling these things hunt and fills because I've done 3 or 4 of them now and we find cool stuff, but we haven't been able to actually slot much into our albums. But that's because we're kind of at the tail end and we're focusing on the stuff that's pretty hard to find. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, let me know. Drop on down below. Click that like button. While you're down there, leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you. If you're new to coin roll hunting and you like my hunts or you like this particular hunt, make sure you click on that subscribe button and then click that little bell and select all so you get notified each and every time I do release a new video. Special shout out to my channel members. I appreciate all the support. And for those of you that want to know, for as little as like 99 cents, I want to say, or $1.99, I can't remember what my tiers are anymore. It's been a while since I've looked at them. You do get the opportunity to check out my videos just a little bit early. And if I get ahead, if I can get, a couple, 3 or 4 videos ahead, you may actually have a few days head start, but that's been a while since I've been that far ahead. Anyway, I hope you guys take care. I hope you're having a great summer, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.